And I remember like kids were always playing with it, and one could put a stone into the water pump and lock the handle. So this way the water would always go down and it would just flood the street, and kids would were happily like rolling in the water, and then these like new forming little rivers, which was so painful to me for some strange reason while I was like 5 years young kid. And I was always taking this stone out, and I was like, no, you cannot do this. The ice is melting in Antarctic while we are here wasting.
Welcome to the Green Living Now podcast, a place where we cut through confusion, expose hidden toxins, and explore natural solutions that support our bodies, our homes, and our well-being. I'm your host, Amy Hartshorn, and I've always respected intentional communities, but I've also been very wary of the rules and the possible dogma and the endless meetings. So this conversation was really refreshing. Today, I'm talking with Marat, and he's been building a village in Costa Rica called the Ark, which is eco-focused, economically thriving, and giving back to the community in really profound ways. It's a real world model of a different way of living that's actually working. Let's get into it. Welcome, Marat.
Thank you so much, Amy.
Excited about this conversation. Your background is fascinating. And as I said to you before we got on, Costa Rica is a place I've always wanted to visit. So most likely after this conversation, I will be even more excited.
Definitely. You're very invited to visit the Ark, to get to know us here in person, to experience what Costa Rica, what Santa Teresa is bringing, and what we're giving birth to.
That I'm particularly interested, being a fellow Earth lover and somebody who's all about regenerative. We have an organic farm here in Vermont that my husband and I run.
Beautiful.
Even though I grew up in New York City, I have always been so tuned into the earth. So I'm very curious about what you're doing. First of all, before we get into the Ark, which we'll definitely get into, just please give us a little bit of a understanding of who you are and how you got to be doing what you're doing.
Thank you. It's been a long path. I'm 42 at the moment. It's funny enough, I was born in Kazakhstan. At that time, it wasn't Kazakhstan, it was USSR.
Oh.
Yeah, it was Soviet Republic. And at that time, and then I grew up, first 10 years of my life, I spent in Belarus together with our family. That's where we were living, which was also part of Soviet Union. It was all one big country. And
Yes.
Funny enough, I just now remember that when I was a little child, and I don't know, maybe you can resonate. I don't know how you came to this kind of earth-loving person,
Yes.
but it feels that it was always inside of me. And subconsciously, I was saying such random things to my parents.
Whoa.
And I don't know how much you know about what was the Soviet Union reality, but it was obviously a very closed informational environment. We did not have any access to outside information or something. So news were very regulated and curated, let's say. So it's a kind of propaganda situation. And obviously, I was not getting any information from anywhere else rather than my closest environment. And I remember when I was sharing with my mom that we had these water pumps. I don't know where you grew up, if you had them like in a yard, in shared yard. So it was like potable water pumps. So people were going sometimes with buckets, and you would fill the water bucket with a water pump, then you go home. And I remember like kids were always playing with it, and one could put a stone into the water pump and lock the handle. So this way the water would always go down, and it would just flood the street, and kids were happily like rolling in the water, and then these like new forming little rivers, which was so painful to me for some strange reason while I was like 5 years young kid. And I was always taking this stone out, and I was like, no, you cannot do this. The ice is melting in Antarctic while we are here wasting. I was like 5, and
Wow.
and my mom was like, where are you getting this from? Obviously, it's not in the news. What's wrong with my child? I'm not even sure my mom had the same kind of eco-awareness that I had at the age of 5. And I was deeply troubled. I was like, why are we wasting this? And it's so funny. So that's why I'm saying, like, think it was kind of subconscious. It was somewhere there all the time, which with the years, obviously it grew, and it was kind of this plant that was growing and evolving in me. And so there was no other choice. And maybe some of us are chosen by the universe. Let's go as esoteric as we can.
Yeah.
But maybe some of us were like intentionally chosen by the universe, and we got planted this consciousness and this awareness that we cannot take it out of our stories. And eventually it just becomes part of us.
Yes.
So that's who I was. And I did my business. I was working in politics, and I was working in Kazakhstan in some parts of the government. We held World Expo in Kazakhstan in 2017. And this expo was dedicated to future energy. And I was director for content and events. I don't know if somebody doesn't know what Expo is. It's the largest event in the world. It normally lasts between 3 to 6 months.
Oh my
It's
gosh,
not
I
as
didn't know this.
yeah. World Expo is actually the largest event where the most all technology of the world was presented. Internet, mobile phone, Eiffel Tower. In Seattle, there is a needle building, I think, in Seattle that was built for Expo. So majority of like architectural landmarks in the world were done for World Expos. It originated in France. I will not lie to you when. I think in the beginning of 1800s. And it's happening every 4 years. There was a large one in Dubai in 2020. The previous one was in Kazakhstan in 2017. And then they did, I think, in Dubai 2021 because of COVID. And this year, I think it's happening in Osaka, in Tokyo. So it's the same size of Olympics, insane constructions. It obviously doesn't have any relation to sports, but all countries of the world are gathering and they're presenting the best advancements according to the subject of Expo.
How exciting that must have been.
Yeah. Yeah, it's beautiful. It's a huge responsibility. Our one was dedicated to future energy, although Kazakhstan is an oil country. So our government saw the necessity to start raising the topic and to disconnect from natural resources. And so all countries were presenting this. So I was, in a sense, very excited to also be involved into organization, first of all, of the largest project in Kazakhstan. I was leading the content and events and sponsorship and post-use. So it was a very responsible position with, opening ceremony and closing ceremony, and all content of all pavilions was going through our division. So I was the one who was seeing it first, like what countries have and the latest achievements and technologies in this sector. But even then, working at such a kind of high role in the government, one could think that you would be contributing a lot to this world through work on that level. But I realized that it still remains politics for many countries. Yeah, politicians and obviously a lot of businesses involved. And definitely it has its own effect. But for me, somehow I didn't feel the application, if this is a word, on this real kind of sector where I wanted to feel this with my hands. And I didn't know what it's going to be. So after that, I came to the United States, and then I started living in Mexico. And after pandemic already, I decided that I want to build a regenerative village. Yeah.
So I'm just curious, where did that come from?
Came
Was
from
that another one of those down loans that you got?
I think pandemic was the main factor, the main kind of pushing. I was living in Tulum back then, and Tulum was amazing, beautiful paradise, which started becoming a development madness during pandemic. A lot of unconscious developments were just cutting hectares of the jungle and then planting 3 pounds and calling it an eco-conscious development. It was painful to see and very incongruent as well with myself. And at a certain point, I said, as much as I love with all my heart, I love Mexico. But I said, when living here, I'm a part of a problem rather than a solution. And also pandemic, I think to many of us has shown that we live very disconnected from nature, truly from nature. Not that you go to walk in the park once a day, but truly like we're disconnected from the soil. We don't understand where our food is coming from. Our supply chains are very fragile. We don't know how to grow our own food. And for me, at that time, I was around 38, I think, or 37 maybe. And that was like the time when I started thinking that eventually I might want to have kids. And I thought, okay, so where my kids are going to grow, in which system of knowledge they're going to absorb, which applicative knowledge they're going to have around the world. And I could not imagine raising them in the States. Or Europe was interesting always, but it's like, for me, Europe feels a little bit, I wouldn't say stagnant, but very established in a sense. I think it's done already. And I really love Latin America. So for me, Costa Rica was always ringing the bell
And
for
you've never
everything.
been there yet.
And I've never been there. Imagine the craziness that I carry sometimes. So I've never been to Costa Rica, but I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go and look for land in Costa Rica and I'm going to build a village and I'm going to create this community. Such a mad idea. And I embarked on this journey to go into different locations in Costa Rica to find that land.
Yes.
And I found it here in Santa Teresa. And it's a beautiful pasture land. It's a 200 acres land or 80 hectares. Yeah. For me, it was like, I think during pandemic, I was like, actually now I can multiply all this new consciousness and knowledge and connectivity to the larger universe and awareness. And I can multiply it on this kind of linear project management skills that I learned during my business and political career.
Yes.
And I can actually do something that is going to satisfy my desire to contribute to this larger change and contribute to this more beautiful world that's possible. Not on some general level of papers and some technologies which you cannot even touch, but rather here on the soil, and I can show that it's possible. And maybe that's what we're going to create. At the time, I thought also can serve as a blueprint or as an example for others if they want to follow. And maybe this is an impulse, an inspiration that can come from us, that different way of living is possible, the way of living that is actually how we're supposed and meant to live, but that's something that we have completely forgotten. So that's when I was like, let me go to Costa Rica.
Wow. Okay. So you went by yourself?
I went by myself.
And this was about 5 years ago, did you say?
It was in May 2021, almost 5 years
Okay,
ago.
so 4 or 5 years. And so you found this piece of land, and was it just you resonated with it? You knew that was home, or what made you decide on that piece?
Also, I'm a very logical person. And I think I'm also an intuitive person, which as
Yes.
any man, we forget that we're also intuitive people.
Right.
So I work a lot on that. But I think a lot of that came through logical decisions. For me, it was a must and non-negotiable. That place has to be by the ocean. We're not a beachfront, unfortunately, but we are just like less than a mile from the beach.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so we're very close. It's literally 5 minutes. We're coming down from the mountain and we're on the majestic beach of Santa Teresa. And the idea was like also that it's supposed to be like a melting pot of international people, people coming from all over the world. I wanted a place that is spiritual, but not too much, materialistic, but not too much. A lot of things had to play together. And also it had to be upcoming place.
Ah.
So for instance, there is a place in Costa Rica that's called Marat, and a lot of people are coming there. And mainly there are people from the United States. And that place started growing since the 70s.
Oh, wow.
And so it's very established place. It has its own rules. It kind of exists already. And obviously it grows more and more, but in a sense, I wanted something much younger. This feeling living in Tulum, when I moved to Tulum in the beginning of 2018, we were 35,000 people living there. Now it's more than 200. Tulum was the quickest growing city in Mexico. So I also wanted to have this feeling of this tight-knit community, small environment. I wanted, I don't know, somehow I was always imagining myself like living very free, walking barefoot and going into shops or like cafes that people who work there, that businesses belong to people rather than to corporations, that you still have this development that you come to a person who sells vegetables and it's the same person who's been selling vegetables here since, I don't know, 5 years ago, and you have a relationship with him and you send the presents to his family and he gives presents to you.
Yeah, no, I totally get what you're saying. It's actually describing a little bit of what Vermont is, believe it or not. For me, it feels like Vermont has one foot in tradition and old ways. We had all these small farm homesteads, right? So people would have their own garden and the family cow, and maybe you traded things with your neighbors. And there's still that feeling here.
Beautiful.
We have a lot of small businesses. There's no McDonald's in our town.
Amazing.
Our valley. There's not very many big box stores. Vermonters have resisted that. So I totally understand what you're talking about. And I love that feeling of community where you know people and you go to the farmer's market and you see the same vendors year after year and all that stuff. Okay, so you purchase this piece of land and then what?
Yeah, and I found this piece of land. It was deforested in 1966. It was a jungle before, and then it became a cattle pasture.
Oh.
So it was a pasture land before. And I never thought that it's going to be so big. That was not an
Really?
intention. Yeah, I was looking for something small, maybe a hectare, maybe two. I was like, yeah, that's great. And then I saw this land, which was beautiful and it was very well taken care of. The documents were very clean. And I was like, oh, damn it, maybe. I love doing great big projects. So that's what I was doing all my life. And I was like, maybe, you know what? Maybe that's the next calling. And it's been quite some time since 2017 that the last dragon was slayed, which was the World Expo. So I was like, I'm actually bored and I want the challenge. I want something to devote my life to for the next maybe 10 years of my life. And yeah, and that's how this land was chosen.
Wow.
And funny enough, it just started, I wouldn't say like uh, from the very beginning, that was like a walk in the park.
You had challenges, right?
That is the most challenging thing in my life. And
Oh,
the
is that
years
right?
22 and 23 were the most complicated years of my life when pandemic was officially over. You remember in the beginning of 22. And I just signed the contract for the land in the beginning of 22 in February. And the pandemic was officially over and the governments were like, now we can travel. And people were like, travel. Let's forget about the idea of community living. Let's just start traveling again. And the markets just plummeted in all these locations. Kind of people for a couple of years forgot about the idea of living somewhere else. People rushed going back to New Yorks of the world. And yeah, and it just became tough because at that time we don't have investors. So the idea from the beginning was not to have any outside capital, so we can truly take the interests of the community into consideration. And by doing that, it meant that I had to invest my own funds in order to kick everything off. So I started doing this from the beginning that I found the land. And by the time that I signed the contract, I already invested pretty substantial amount of my own funds that I realized that if I'm going to go back and not do this project, these are, first of all, lost funds. And also during this kind of half a year that I was with the project, with the engineers, with architects, like doing the studies and everything, the idea grew on me. I came up with the name, the ARC.
Yeah.
You
What
know,
does that stand for you?
it was during the pandemic, right? So for me, I always wanted to have Noah's Ark in the name.
Okay.
So we were playing with the team. It was like, how about Arcana or Arcaia? And I was like, yeah, it's very feminine and very beautiful, but it was not a statement. And I was just like, maybe we're just going to be bold and we're just going to call it the Ark.
And I know
So
before we got on, you mentioned that you love the idea of having the diversity of people. And I'm
Yes.
imagining you have a diversity of plants and animals already.
Yeah.
So how did you start adding people into this community?
It started with working on the concept and just putting land on sale and saying, okay, now we created the process of choosing people who wants to join.
Okay, well, let me just back up for 1 second. So you purchased
Sure.
this piece of land and the goal was to sell off portions of it to people who wanted to be part of this vision.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly that.
And how did you articulate the vision for folks?
First of all, we call ourselves a regenerative wellness village. The idea is that we're a healthy community. We have 5 guiding principles and we call it HEART. It's health, equality, autonomy, regeneration, and togetherness. And this is something, which we're communicating to everyone who wants to join us, that like you can be from whichever nationality, speak whichever language, but this kind of guiding principles has to be something that sits deep with you.
Yeah.
We want to become as independent as possible. So it dictates how the project is developing. We have a 15 acres farm. So it was not like a little farm. No, we need a
Pretty good size.
fully proper, productive farm. We want to be as autonomous. So we decided that we want to have a school. We have a Montessori school. For now, it's for 24 kids. Eventually, it's going to be for 150. Yeah. Yeah. And it's like, as we're a healthy community, so all loud sounds have to be off by 8 p.m. because a lot of people are going to sleep. We just had our alignment circles with the residents and we were talking about it, that we're like, we're sticking to this. We really love the idea. Yeah, so that's also kind of pitch to the people who want to join. And we have very large lots, pretty large. They start from 1.2 acres to 2.5 acres. So they're pretty substantial pieces of land and people can do their own farm. And I also, first of all, creating, of course, home for me. And I
Right.
was like, whatever is going to work for me, most probably there are going to be around 90 families that are going to be the same as me.
Oh, wow. So
And
that's the goal, was to have
that's the
90
goal. Yeah,
families.
the 90
Wow.
families. Yeah, 88
Okay.
actually.
And
It
you're
was the,
full now?
sorry? We're
Are
not
you
full now.
full?
No,
Yeah.
we're 35 adults and 17 kids.
Oh, wow.
I think eventually we're going to be around 200 adults. That's an objective. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And the idea was like, you know what? The place has to be functional, but at the same time, it doesn't have to rely on us to function. A lot of these intentional communities, you come and it becomes your full-time job.
And my observation is there's a lot of rules and things that can
Mhm.
feel not free.
Limiting, very limiting. And that we
Yes.
don't call ourselves an intentional community intentionally because of, and also, yeah, like people have a lot of expectations. It's a pretty established format of what the project is. That's why we're calling ourselves a regenerative village. So we are a modern type village, let's say so, village for this kind of new era that came.
You say regenerative, where you just articulate what you mean by regenerative village.
Actually, it's an interesting thing because what we mean, so what is a regeneration? And you can say it's repairing or restoring, right? That's like the synonyms that come to mind. And then we always ask people, so what do they think requires regeneration or repairing in the modern world? And obviously, first answer is nature. Everybody's, oh, we're all programmed. We're all like nature. We're like,
Yes.
sure, what else? And then people go, you know what? Education. Like, yes. And then people go, you know what? Healthcare. True. And business, it's like everything is very capitalistic. Everything became a product. And you know how these businesses are sharing profit with people who are participating, right? And that's the regenerative economy principles. There is a whole section on regenerative economy. So we're a regenerative village in all of these senses. We're restoring, repairing the education. The school that we have is based on Montessori principles, but other than that, it's their own pedagogy that developed.
Right. I know the word you're talking about.
One of them.
I remember it from Waldorf because my daughter went to the Waldorf schools for a little while.
Beautiful, beautiful. Yeah.
Pedagogy. Right?
Pedagogy. I think so. Yeah. So that one was developed by our co-founders of the school. They're from Ecuador. They're indigenous people. They're 70. And from Montessori, we took the freedom for kids in the prepared environments. And at the same time, that it's self-guided education and education through creating projects. So this is where we're inspired by Montessori. But there are many other things, which is it's a nature-based, it's a community-based education. It's an education where kids can see in the real life through the people of the community members what are the skills that they're acquiring can be used and how they can be used. It's a school where farming is a must. They have their own farm, part of the farm, so where they go and experiment and they see how it thrives or not thrives, depending on their efforts. That's one part. And then the same part goes about the healthcare. And the healthcare
that was going to be my next question. How did you bring healthcare into the village?
First of all, it's putting people in the driver's seat of their health. We are conditioned by the system, in a sense, to give our power away, right?
Yes.
Like whenever something hurts, let me go to the doctor. Let me take a pill.
Especially in the US, for sure.
Yes, definitely. But this is how like what capitalism is doing, because it's like making everything a commodity, a product, a service, right?
Yes.
And nobody cares for you to understand why do you have the headache. Everybody cares that you buy a pill against the headache. Exactly. And if it's not taking the origin of the pain, it's even better because then you're going to consume 10 pills. And then you're going to go to the doctor.
And in this country, I'm imagining, I think there's only 2 countries in the world that have pharmaceutical ads. We are one and New Zealand is the other. But you would not believe, trying to watch a show on television, how many ads for all these pharmaceuticals and how discordant they are. You know, these happy people and their pets and their children and they're outdoors enjoying. But then you listen to the words and you hear may cause stroke, death. It's wow. I can't even wrap my head around what I'm hearing here.
That's
and
true.
That's
unfortunately, it's a normality. And the thing is, that's what we're doing. We're creating a different normality.
Yes.
And is it crazy enough to do? Well, actually, in this kind of world, if that is crazy, I want to be crazy.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
So do you have any healers that are
We do
resident?
healers of all different sorts, of course.
Oh,
We have
wonderful.
people who are practicing energy healing, Reiki, and of course, chiropractic, all sorts
Yeah.
of things. We have people who are healing through fasting, through fruitarians, so many different sorts of all sorts of people. And the most beautiful thing that nobody tells you what you have to do. There is no, that's your path. Nobody puts
Mhm.
your diagnosis or tells you, like, you know what, you have to do that.
Yes.
No, it's discover, listen to your body, try different things. It's also
Mm-hmm.
one thing like veganism or I don't know, Ayurveda might work great for you,
Yeah.
might not
Yeah.
work great for me. So it's all test and try through understanding of your body and understanding how you feel. And now on the next level, we're planning to add functional medicine clinic to this, which is going to combine this kind of ancient wisdom together with technological achievements, where we're also going to support our philosophy and beliefs through biomarkers and measuring everything that people are going through, aside of subjective feeling, kind of good feel factors.
Yeah.
And aside of that, this is also a hospitality project. Remember, I told you about this kind of regenerative economy idea. So we are sharing all the profit that we're generating as the village is getting redistributed. So first, obviously, we're taking out the operational expenses, and then whatever is left, 31% goes to the residents, so people who own land in the village. Whatever you do, doesn't matter if you participate or you don't participate in the active village life. If you live at the Ark, you are entitled to receive part of the profit of all the village.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I'm curious about how that works. Does conflict come up around what I would imagine some people thinking, I'm doing all this work and this person over here isn't doing any work, but we're all getting the same amount? It's like when I go to a restaurant and I see that they're pulling the tips between all the wait staff and the bartenders and the dish people and whatnot. And to me, I wonder about, is there a disincentive to do more because if you don't have to? So how does that work?
It's actually an interesting thing because there is another pool of percentage of the profit that is blocked for active residents. So
Oh, okay.
31% is redistributed among all residents independently if you do something or not.
Okay.
But then there is other part of the profit of the project that is designated to the people who are actively participating in the
Okay. So that eliminates that issue because somebody who's
Exactly.
doing a lot more is receiving more because of that. Like, smart. Okay.
Exactly. And then there is a team, then there is an administrative team. There are people who work at the receptions. The majority of our people, they either have their businesses or they're practitioners, wellness practitioners, or they're consultants. So they do different types of works, but it's not works that, let me go and I'm going to be a cleaner or
Right.
I'm gonna be a cook.
Okay.
We don't have
So,
that.
so let's say you have a healer there. Are they only seeing people within the community or are people that live nearby coming over too?
The Ark is an open gated community. We call it like this.
Okay.
So everybody can come and enjoy. People are coming to the events. People are coming to the sessions.
Or you have events too.
We have events. We have a full schedule of events. I think we have maybe 5, 6 events every day, starting
Oh my
from
gosh.
traditional movement classes and yoga and meditations and prenatal yoga and kundalini, up to ecstatic dances and up to concerts and all sorts of different and interesting classes, singing classes, gymnastics. There is a separate program for kids, which is very popular. But yeah, so it's a very diverse kind of offering.
Yeah. And so is there a diversity of ages? Obviously, you have parents and children, but do you have some seniors as well
So
as?
we have people of the ages from 34 is our youngest.
Yep.
60 is our most grown up. I
Oh,
think actually 65 is our most grown up.
okay.
Yeah, 65. She's
Dang.
and we have kids are from the youngest is 2, the most grown up is 16. So the moment they're more than 16, we calculate them, they're switching the
Oh, they become an
so
adult
they're
status.
becoming adult status. Yeah. So we have one
Interesting.
that is maturing towards an adult. So yeah, but also it's as we're an open community, everybody can come from the town. Santa Teresa is a very vibrant town. A lot of families live here. We have people who are single. We have people who are in partnerships. So we have people single, without, and with kids, and people in partnership with or without kids.
Gotcha.
All sorts. We have people from 15 countries.
Oh, wow.
Argentina, Austria, Switzerland, Liechtenstein, Brazil, Israel, Saudi Arabia, Kazakhstan, what else? Belgium, Netherlands, United States, Canada, Costa Rica, obviously.
Yeah.
So it's a very diverse international community. We have people of all sorts of professions, doctors, healers. We have traditional doctors. We have a couple of heart surgeons, pediatricians. So it's a melting pot of people who are united by this romantic idea that we can do better as humans and that we can build this better world. And
Wow. So what's the aspect that you like the most about it?
I think for me, eating from the land is beautiful. It's just beautiful to get everything tastes differently. It's just the idea that you live among this abundance of food. It's just beautiful.
Yeah.
Of course, I'm very passionate about where this project is going. It's definitely
Yeah.
my baby. We are maybe around 30% where we want to be. So there is still a large path for the next 3 years to work a lot.
Nice.
So it's definitely the most challenging adventure of my life. It's also a calling, it's a challenge, and I'm excited to see how I'm reacting to it. I'm excited to see that I got it. We're doing it. And it's not always easy and fun,
Yeah.
but it's always motivating and inspiring. And it's great to see an honest gratitude of people when they're joining us as residents, and then that they're saying that this is one of the best decisions of their life, how happy they are, how their kids are happy. It's so apparent, and they have 4 kids on an ATV driving through, and it's such a free world, and these are insanely happy kids. And I'm like, oh my God.
They're lucky.
Yeah, and that's the understanding that I was blessed in my life to be able to contribute on a certain level to their lives for what I'm doing.
Yes.
This is beautiful. If this physical existence finishes for me tomorrow, I'm gonna be on that deathbed looking back, and I'm gonna, oh God, like I really did something truly significant. I really touched other people's lives. And that's, I think, what I was missing on this kind of political government thing, because it was very untangible.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you could wave a magic wand for what you would like to see happen in the next 5 years, do you have a vision?
Yes, definitely. We are working on our own music studio. We have an amazing team of music engineers. One of them has a Grammy Award.
Oh my goodness.
So he's moving to the art from New York. So we are thinking that this is going to be one of the most, I don't want to say leading, but one of the most significant analog music studio in the world. So we're using all kind of
that's
analog
amazing.
equipment, and our idea is the preservation of the sound. So they're working directly from the sound to the to tape. So it's a beautiful environment. We're planning to launch, as I said, our functional medicine clinic or healing center, along with our spa, along with an art center, and planning to build a beautiful temple. So there are many things that are still in the making that we really love to happen. But at the same time, I don't remember. I believe I read this in the book of Ryan Holiday about courage, and he brought a fairy tale or a story about Hercules, I think it was. And when Hercules was at this, and I might be very much mistaken about how it was developing, but he was at this kind of crossroad, and he met some angels and whomever. And at this crossroad, these angels told him, you know, if you're going to go to the right, you're going to be honored, you're going to be treated as a hero, you're going to achieve everything you want in your life, and it's going to be effortless, and it's going to be easy, and you're not going to have any challenges in your life. But if you're going to go to the left, you're going to go through all the challenges that you might see, and it's up to you to gather them and to win them. And whenever you're going to win them, you're going to know that whatever you have done and whatever the praise you have, it's a deserved one. And obviously he chose the left path.
Interesting.
You kind of wish, in a sense, this magic went to heaven, but then you're like, actually, the path is the beauty of it, the adventure.
The challenges.
The challenges, the adventure, it is in the path, not in the crossing the finish line.
Yeah, yeah. And I think that's very much a theme that I like to follow, that I don't take the easy road, even though it would be simpler and less confrontational, maybe. It's funny because I remember as a child, I was always questioning authority. And I think part of that came from I grew up in a private school setting, which was all girls, and it was during the 70s and 80s. And so there was this theme of you can do anything you want or be anything you want. And luckily, I have a mom who supported that. But I always felt that sense of not just following the crowd. And what I'm hearing you describe of having this deeper purpose that you were stepping into. And it sounds like it's maybe similar for you that it's still unfolding. I feel like it is for me. I'm a little older than you. I'm 62. And I'm feeling like I'm always pushing the envelope further forward. And okay, what's this challenge? What am I supposed to learn from this? And how could I move forward and feel more empowered by these experiences as opposed to allowing the challenges to defeat me?
Yeah, definitely. And I think this is the beauty of it, the beauty of this path of challenges.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's funny, before I spoke with you here today, I had a conversation with a friend of mine who's very intuitive and she does readings for people. And she was talking about that whole idea of having gratitude for the challenges because oftentimes they bring the biggest rewards.
Yeah, definitely.
So
Definitely.
that sort of ties into your Hercules story. Speaking of challenges, what would you say has been the biggest challenge for you with this art village?
Well, for me, the first couple of years were extremely complicated. I was thinking, what have I done with my life? I invested all my capital and it was not going anywhere. We had a farm in the beginning. We still had cattle on the land.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, the whole work to do, when you think about it, it's an immense amount of things that have to be done. It's the division of lots, it's all the legal work, it's like opening all the roads, creating all the concept, working on the details, working on the marketing, communicating, creating the vision, like trying to sell.
And is it just you that's primarily doing that, or do you have a team?
Of course, now there is a team. We're more than a 20 people team. At that time, no, but there were people who were taking care of the farm. I had my farm manager with me, and there were people who were working at the farm. We started from the farm.
Yeah.
We wanted to prove to ourselves, first of all, if we can grow food in this environment. 60 years.
Yeah. What are you growing, just out of curiosity?
We're growing everything from day-to-day vegetables up to medicinal plants. For 3 years, we started the farm in June 22. And for 3 years, we were working on increasing the biodiversity. So enriching the soil, we created more than 200 tons of soil.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a very large farm and we still don't have animals. We're planning to implement them within the next 3 to 5 months.
Yep.
It's challenging because we're close to the coast. So we were thinking how much the salt wind is going to affect us. We're on the Pacific Ocean.
Right.
Then 60 years of cattle are not doing any good to the soil. The land was overgrazed. We almost have no productive layer of the soil.
Gosh, so it was a conventional cattle farm.
Yeah, it was a conventional cattle farm. It was never an easy task. So we started from the farm, but at the same time, the farm business is actually not a business. It's very hard to sustain even the farm when it's a truly organic farm.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, it is.
We're certified organic vegetables and so, yep. I know exactly what you're talking about.
So this year we switched from the biodiversity topic towards how can we put as many calories on the plate as possible. So we're growing a lot of root vegetables, sweet potato, yucca, things like this.
Yeah.
And now it's also the year when we started creating products. So
like herbal things.
Yeah, dehydrating and creating different, all sorts of products. This is the first time now that we're implementing food and beverage. So we're launching farm-to-table dinners. We're starting our own cafe.
Oh, cool.
There are so many things which are growing on that, but this is the 3-year path to get to this.
Yes.
In the beginning, it was a little farm that required so much labor.
Yes.
So, so that was challenging. It was challenging. Cash flow was challenging. That was always challenging of, is it going to work? And then I always say that it's not an open critics of people that demotivates you, but it's rather quiet support, which is not even a support, but it's like when people are supporting you, but nothing comes out of it.
Okay.
And then you feel that you're alone, because then whenever people are criticizing you, at least you can have this emotion of, oh, I'm going to prove you. I'm going to show you. I'm going to make it happen. You have this anger and this rage that you're like, oh, you don't believe in me. But then the worst thing is that when people are, yeah, you can make it. But this is like nothing. Yeah, it's great.
Nothing to push up against.
Nothing to push up against.
Interesting.
Yeah, and I found it was a pretty solitary journey, which I will never do again. And I was like, you know what? I have to have more compassion for myself.
Absolutely. And are there any models of communities that you looked at to help you form this, or did this just come from your own?
Yeah, and it's interesting that no models reflected the idea. They all were either intentional communities, which are
Yes.
more of like communities rather than like enterprises, because we're an enterprise community. Or there are places like Auroville in India, which is a very different thing, of a different size, of a different kind. Also, they're like leader-led community, whereas like we are very decentralized. Of course, there is a founder, that's me, but
Yes.
also through a lot of personal work, I learning more and more of letting go, of not concentrating everything in me, but rather involving everyone so that we all feel that it's ours rather than a
Yeah.
project of Marat.
So how does that work in a practical way as far as decision making?
We have an alignment circle every 2 weeks. So when everybody is joining and we're talking and we're discussing everything, we're practicing sociocracy, or let's say, so we're going towards practicing sociocracy. It's not easy. Sociocracy is the governance or self-governance when everything is organized in circles and the decision is not taken by the majority and not by voting, but rather by consent. So the idea is to go through with the decision unless there isn't a very serious objection.
Oh, okay. So you have a topic that you're discussing and then everybody essentially agrees. It's not like a majority rule, you said, unless they have a serious objection.
Exactly. It's not that I don't like it, but it has to be something serious, something that makes sense, something that everybody be like, yeah.
So all the owners come to this twice every 2 weeks?
Majority of the owners, the beauty of the arc is that we're not forcing people.
So those who feel called.
Exactly. We have people who are not coming at all, which is
Okay.
totally fine. And this is
Yeah.
also a magic to create this not judgmental environment where people are
It's tough
still
for us humans.
It's tough for us humans. We love to judge.
Yes, we do.
Yeah, we do love to judge, and especially when one human is contributing, and then it's hard for them not to express this kind of discontent with somebody else that just didn't come to a circle. But the thing is that the more we practice this, the less it's becoming a cult, the less it's becoming something where this rigid environment that you mentioned, intentional communities that have a lot of rules, and then you didn't come to the circle a couple of times, and now people looking at you like you're the second sort of a human. Nobody wants to live like this. Santa Teresa, it's a very free space. We all came here to live as free as we want. But at the same time, we do want a community. So it's this fragile balance that has to be maintained.
And as far as the freedom goes, do you feel like there are any rules from the country that impose themselves upon you that get in the way?
Actually, no, it's a pretty free environment.
Oh,
We
that's great.
intentionally didn't register as a condominium.
Okay.
Yeah, we are a collection of residential lots, united by the rules.
Yep.
Of course, there are rules, and more than anything, they're ecological rules. For instance, so people cannot install septic tanks. They must use water treatment plants. We are located on the top of the watershed.
I
So
see.
everything from us goes down to the village and then to the ocean. So at least we on our level, we want to maintain the integrity and to not to pollute. So this is one of the things. Then another thing, 10% of our profits are going to maintain the different infrastructural projects in the region outside of the arc.
Oh, wow, that's cool.
Yeah,
So
we
you're
invested
investing in the community outside of the arc
outside,
too.
yeah, for sure, definitely. We invested
Nice.
more than $1 million in the roads and in the public potable water infrastructure system.
Wow.
Which also got connected to the arc, which allowed us to be connected to the governmental water. And because of that, we were able to connect a neighboring town towards that water aqueduct. And because of that, we could also implement the rule that people cannot make individual wells on their land. We have 88 lots. So imagine it would be 88 wells, people taking out water from where it's not supposed to be taken from. There are a lot of rules around like construction, the height of the building. You cannot build more than 2 floors, more than 7 meters. The allowed footprint is 25%. It's pretty large lots with a small footprint. So we want to keep as much open land as possible. there are a lot of rules which are logic and make sense for a project and for people who want to live in a regenerative project.
So if somebody wanted to come and visit there, are there guest houses where people can
There are
stay to
guest
get an
houses.
experience?
And this is the most beautiful thing. Actually, the administration, the ARC, is in charge of property management of the houses. So
Okay.
whenever you want to rent out your house, you're letting know the administration, and administration puts it into the pool of the houses. So if you would go to our website, you would find their stay, and you would go into stay, and you would see all different houses of our residents where you can stay in any house of the residents. And the ARC charges 20% for the property management, for promotion, maintenance, and everything.
Sure.
And the profit from this 20% is actually also redistributed among all the residents.
Wow.
So technically, you're earning from the rent of your neighbor, of all your neighbors.
That's pretty awesome. And what's the website for folks that might be interested?
It is theark.world.
So THEARK
Yeah.
world.
Dot world.
Oh, dot world.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, that's neat.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. It's our
Right.
world.
Wow. And so final question, because I feel like we could continue
Time
talking for
flew.
hours.
Time flew.
How have you been finding people, or how have they been finding you?
Social media helps a lot, of course, definitely. Word of mouth helps a lot. It's so funny because I was talking to a person who lives in Panama, and he does great projects. His name is Murph. He has this foundation called Murph is Life, where he kind of fulfills the wishes of people, of like random people that he meets. And it started very funny because he met a person whatsoever, let's call him Juan, and this Juan, he had a very old truck and he always dreamt of a new truck. So this Murph kind of started posting stories and opened the GoFundMe campaign for this Juan. And he said, let's gather money for Juan to buy a new truck. And he gathered $25,000 and he bought a truck for Juan. And now he raises more than $2 million a year, building houses for people all over Latin America. Mainly, he's now connected not Panama, sorry, in El Salvador. And
El Salvador. Okay.
yeah, and then it's a funny thing that we connected with him, and I was admiring him for his work. And he's, man, everybody who comes to me tells me you have to go and visit the ARC.
Ooh.
And I was like, how does this? And I was like,
amazing.
Thank you. Apparently, I think people feel the integrity of our actions because we're not a real estate development. People feel that we're doing an honest job, and you feel the energy, right? It's like your vibe attracts your tribe. Is that what they say?
Yes.
And I believe when people come and visit us, they're like, wow, this is amazing what you do. And then they go in the world, and then people are coming and they're like, we heard about you in Guatemala. I was like, what?
Wow, that's cool.
That's amazing.
Love that.
Thank you.
Doing amazing work. Sorry?
Now that you know about us, I'm going to be waiting for you to come and visit us to record one of your podcasts, maybe with one of our people here in the ARC.
Absolutely. I am totally open to talking to whoever you think would be a good fit for the Green Living Now podcast.
You will love our people.
I'm sure. I can't imagine not. It sounds like such an incredible community that you've created. It's really impressive.
Thank you so much.
Oh, wow. I'm looking forward to looking on your website. Do you have any videos available, like on YouTube or anything around?
Yes, everything. There is the same ARC World channel in YouTube, and our I think our Instagram is the best way to communicate.
Oh, okay.
Same tag, the ARC.world.
Okay, perfect. I'll go find you there too.
Amazing.
Wonderful. Is there anything I didn't ask you that you wish I had?
I think no, everything's great. It's been an amazing conversation. Thank you so much, Amy. Thank you for giving this space to truly open up. It's an amazing format.
Absolutely. My pleasure. Thank you so much. And I will be seeing you at
some point very soon, I hope. Thank you so much, Amy.
Yes, thank you. Before we close, I would genuinely love to hear your thoughts on this one. As you were listening, what stood out for you? Was there a moment that made you rethink how we're living? Or what kind of a community might actually work? So if this conversation sparked something for you, please consider sharing it with somebody else who's questioning the status quo or who's been longing for a more connected way of living. These kinds of conversations are the type that grow by word of mouth. And if you want more honest conversations like this, I'd love to invite you to join my free newsletter, Notes from the Rebellion. I share practical guidance and inspiration for detoxing your home, your body, and your life. And it's where I share things that don't always fit into these episodes. Deeper insights, simple swaps, and surprising research to give you cleaner living tools without overwhelm. You'll find the link at greenlivingnow.com and in the show notes. Thank you so much for being here and being part of this growing community. I'll see you next week.